Hello, everyone, and welcome to an overview of Rethink Ed's social emotional learning program. To get started, we are going to log into rethinked.com. And then once here, we're going to click on our user login tab and then type in our associated username and password provided. Then we're going to click our login. And this will now take us to our homepage. On the homepage, we will find three boxes here. On our far left, we have our lesson library. And this is where we will access our student curriculum, providing us with lesson plans and how-to videos for each of the grade level lessons. We also have a My Resource tab, which is a collection of our teaching materials linked to the lessons found in our library, as well as other resources and supports to assist in our teaching. And finally, we have our My Training, and this is where you will engage in professional development learning activities. We also provide PD hours when you complete the assessments tied to each of the professional development videos. So let's get started here in My Training. So when we click on My Training, we're going to click on our SEL training series. And here is where you're going to be exposed and introduced to the 5 core competencies of SEL. And these are awareness of self and others, self-management, social awareness, self-care, and social skills. When we're looking at these topics, it provides us the opportunity to develop our own emotional intelligence to better support our own lives as well as our students that we are engaging with. So you will see as we scroll down to any of the topics, each one has 6 correlating modules that support that overarching social emotional learning theme. So within self-management, we have topics such as self-control, stress management, focus, problem solving, goal setting, and resilience. This will be true for all of our 5 competency areas. And then finally, outside of our competency areas, we have also provided some professional development opportunities within mental health and SEL and equity for further professional development support. So really, there's a very enriched curriculum here within our SEL training series. So to get started, we are going to choose any of the topics to jump in and watch the video. So let's go ahead and do self-knowledge. So when we click on here, we're going to be taken to the training video, and we will be met with one of our experts. So here for each video, you are going to see an expert who is going to be talking about that content area in their field, as well as providing you with strategies and supports. So for example, if we were looking at our stress management series, we would have someone sharing with you the topics of stress management, how stress can actually be a positive thing, as well as providing some coping strategies that can help us navigate some of those stressful situations. So really informative and helpful supports within each of our videos. Along with the videos, we also have our driving documents here. And within here, these are great resources to be used as takeaways and reflections after viewing the videos, as well as perhaps a tool you can utilize for conversations within a PLC meeting or other grade level supports if you are doing the professional development in a group scenario or another group PD opportunity. So here are some takeaway resources that can be utilized for each of our content area topic. And then over here in our Dive Deeper, this is where you can access the resources that are tied to the research itself. So really provides you with an overall picture of each PD area. So let's go back to our SEL training. So we just looked at and reviewed the video and the supports for the training video. Once that is done, you can go ahead and to access that PD hours, we're going to go in and start our test. So this is where you will take a quiz. They are 10 questions, and we need a passing grade of 90% or higher in order to access that PD certificate. Each one of the video modules provides a half hour of professional development credit. That is our training series. Let's go back, and now let's jump into our lesson library where we have our student curriculum. So the training series was focused more at the adult as a learner, and this is where we are going to look at the different lessons that are available for our students. So to get started, we are going to drill down and search for different SEL topics. One way we can go ahead and do this is by typing in the name of the lesson into our search tool. So for example, we can put in Be an Upstander. So you can type in any portion of the lesson title or the entire lesson title, which will take you to that page. Also, we can drill down and look by grade, by domain area. So we can go ahead here. We have SEL, all tiers. So we'll look at tier 1 and 2 as well as tier 3, all grades. And let's go into self-management area. So we can look at stress management lessons. So here we'll find a list of all of the lessons, grades K through 12, for our stress management topics. When we find the lesson that we were looking for, either by title or by grade here, we want to come over to these 3 dots. This is where we will find access to the link to get the materials and the videos, as well as our lesson plans. So here in our pop-up, you will see that there will be an overview of the lesson. So this will tie into that professional development that we just looked at and give that overarching idea of what our purpose is and what the goal is within this area. So we have our student objective, our teacher objective, vocabulary words are provided for each lesson. And then further as you scroll down, you will see links to the teaching materials, academic and home connections, as well as the lesson plan. So let's look quickly at the lesson plan. So here you will see this is a PDF printable download mirror copy of that pop-up that we were just looking at. In our overview, vocabulary, our helpful hints, this will link us to copies needed and materials or other helpful information to best implement this teaching lesson. So then we're going to look into breaking it down and sharing how the lesson is best delivered. So our learn portion, which is that first piece, about 5 minutes, that's where we're looking at demonstrating the student video and following up with some discussion questions. Then we go into our practice piece, which is about 10 minutes. This is where the students will start engaging in that application of the concepts learned. And then our dive deeper is that 20-minute follow-up activity where we'll be tying in fluency and competency of that content area. As you scroll down, you will see with some tier 2 strategies and accommodations in each area of the teaching will provide supports and further help in accessing this for all of your students. So that is our lesson plan. Then we can also go back and we want to get the materials for our lessons. Click on our materials, we will see these will be provided. These can be posters and artifacts to be hung up in the classroom or used as visual guides for the students. So here are ways to change my behavior. Further, we have activities that are linked within the lesson plan for the student to go through and complete. In this example, a graphic organizer working on navigating those feelings, thoughts, and behavior. So how can I get started? How do I get from the situation to the end goal on how I might choose that change? So there are our material resources. Now let's go back to our lesson itself. In our feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. So we're in our materials. Now we can see our academic connections. So with that, these are helpful hints and teachable moments that we can utilize throughout the school day. So these are supports for outside of that time that we're teaching this specific content lesson, where we can tie in that concept and help support our learners navigate some of these challenging situations. This can be, if you're in language arts, we can look at, when reading a book, can we do some character development? Can we find some correlations with the lesson and what's happening in our storybooks? Also, during social studies, we can look at tying in some of those concepts with perhaps the historical figures that we are studying, as well as, taking time to check in, using different support charts, using music and dance. So a number of ways that we can tie in those supports for our students. Then we have our home connections, which is a letter that in letter form, that we can send home to our families and caregivers, letting them know some of the strategies and the topics that we're exposing their students and their children with, and how they can tie in these concepts to home. So some great helpful tools for the home piece. Then this will link back to the teacher training and then go right into the student lesson. And when we're in our student lesson, this is where you will play the student videos. Student videos are between 2 and 5 minutes long. Then we have our practice activity that we saw in our lesson plan, where we're going to start applying the skills, and then the dive deeper to tie in for lesson fluency. So that was how we drill down, and that was, we looked at how we plan the lesson and how we can access all of the materials, get everything we need. We can also go in and filter by grade if you would like. So there's a number of ways that we can find those lessons and complete that material. So finally, we have our resources. So when we click on our resource tab, we are provided links to all of our printable materials within our SEL curriculum. So here you can find, if I put in, again, similar to the lessons, we can put in our search tab of words. So we have anything linked with our feelings lesson. In our webinars, we have helpful supports from our experts who provide further information and taped trainings that you can access either live or archived to better support some teaching scenarios. And then we have our organizational resources, which are specific to your school or district, things that can be uploaded, such as your SEL plan or anything specific to your SEL school initiative rollout. When we scroll down below, we have a drop down for categories. So this is where we can look at the specific SEL tiers you would like to utilize and access. And then within here, we can see the different types of materials. So those academic connections, an administrative toolkit, home connections, lesson plans, materials, or home connections. You will see that they are in both English and Spanish. So those are our resources. So to review, we looked at our lesson library, which is where the students have access to the curriculum, lesson plans, which are provided to them through video and follow-up activities. All of the teaching materials and other guides are provided there for you to access. And we have resources where you can get those materials linked to the lessons, as well as other supplemental supports for assisting you with the teaching. And then the My Training piece, where we access the PD modules, providing us with supports in those 5 core competencies. So thank you for your time today, and I hope you had a good day. Take care.